Today we're going to talk about OptiCam terminations. The first part of every OptiCam termination is to ensure that your equipment is in working condition. In order to check the OptiCam to ensure that the battery strength is good, click the on button, focus it on the table, and ensure that the light is very bright. Secondly, check the end face of the VFL cord that is utilized in the termination process. You can utilize a video scope or a handheld scope to look at the end face. If the end face is dirty, utilize a Kim wipe or a cassette cleaner to clean that. Another thing to check is the actual split sleeve on the ferrule portion of the patch cord. You want to unscrew the tip, ensure that the ceramic split sleeve has no cracks, and clean with the Kim wipe the ferrule internal. Another thing to check is your cleaver to ensure that it's working properly. Make sure that the beaver tail is flat, and you can check to make sure that it's giving you a good cleave by following the best practices on the Panduit website. Okay. To do an OptiCam termination, there is two patch cords associated with it. One is a 1.25 millimeter patch cord for LCs, and one has a 2.5 millimeter patch cord for ST and SC. Today we're doing LC, so we're going to use the 1.25 millimeter cord. The ST portion of the patch cord lines up and goes into the LED portion of the OptiCam tool. The LC portion then goes into the connector portion. The LC sled slides into the cradle. The LC connector then slides into the cradle and pops into place. And then you attach the LC patch cord to the connector. In order to do a 900 micron termination, one of the things to do is to strip the cable. You would strip the cable approximately 30 millimeters. It is recommended that you use small strokes to take off the outer buffer from the fiber to expose the standard fiber. Once again, you should take off little strips and go about 30 millimeters. You need to ensure that all of the acrylate is off of the fiber cable itself. And when that is done, you use 95% or better alcohol and you clean the fiber. After cleaning the fiber, it is recommended that an insertion mark is placed 15 millimeters past the buffer tubing itself to assist with placing the fiber into the OptiCam connector itself. After that is done, you need to cleave the fiber. Using the Fitel cleaver, you release the holder by pressing down on the spring. You take the fiber, lay it into the V-groove. At 7 millimeters is where the edge of the buffer tubing should be. You hold it one end taut with your fiber, with your thumb and forefinger, and you take the hammer. You don't slam the hammer down, you just touch it so it will score the fiber. And then you bend the tail in order to produce a cleave. After cleaving the fiber, it's time to insert the fiber into the OptiCam connector. Slowly guide the fiber into the back of the OptiCam connector and push forward until you feel a stop. This means proper end face mating between the fiber stub and the field stub. Once that is done, release the buffer clamps by squeezing the side of the OptiCam tool. Place the buffer into the clamps and then squeeze the clamps. After that, you can slide the sled back towards the back of the tool and a little bow will occur. This provides proper tension between the end faces in the OptiCam itself. Connect the VFL to the connector and cam the connector by rotating the body to cam. Turn on the VFL. After camming the connector, check the light glow in the middle of the connector. This is where the end faces have mated. Little to no glow signifies a proper mate. After camming, if the light is too bright in the middle of the connector can be uncammed and the fiber can be readjusted and re-terminated. To uncam, rotate the connector back towards the center, shut off the VFL, pull the fiber out just a little bit, not to expose the fiber, reposition, recam, and turn the VFL back on. When the connection is done, remove the VFL cord from the connector, shut off the VFL, release the buffer from the fiber clamps, remove the connector, and then slide the connector boot onto the body and replace the dust cap. And the OptiCam termination is complete.